So here's something almost nobody outside of crypto engineering talks about. Every blockchain you've heard of, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of them, is basically blind. A smart contract literally cannot look at a website. It can't check a price, read the weather, or call an app. And for years, the only fix was to hire a middleman to go look for you. A whole industry that now helps guard more than $90 billion just to feed the outside world back to these chains. But one network quietly tore that rule up. On the internet computer, the contract calls the internet itself, directly, and the entire network agrees on the answer before it counts. So let me show you how that works, and why, in a world racing toward AI agents, it might matter more than people realize. Okay, so to feel why this matters, you've got to get one strange limitation baked into almost every blockchain. They're deliberately sealed shut. A blockchain only works because thousands of separate computers all run the same code and land on the exact same answer. That agreement is consensus, and it's the whole reason you can trust it without trusting any single player. But here's the catch. If a contract tried to call a live price website, every computer would call a split second apart and get a slightly different number. And now they can't agree on anything. The machine just seizes up. Chainlink has the analogy that lands. A blockchain is a computer with no internet connection. Perfect memory, follows the rules flawlessly, but no eyes and no ears. So how does crypto work at all? A tool called an oracle, a helper that lives off-chain. Your contract asks a question, the oracle goes out, grabs the answer, and writes that one number back on chain. And this became huge. Chainlink alone is wired into more than 2,000 apps and helps secure over $90 billion. So this blindness isn't an edge case, it's the gate in front of almost everything. But leaning on a middleman has a cost. On Mango markets, someone bent the price feed an app relied on and walked off with $114 million. The contract did exactly what it was told. The weak link was the data feeding it. So the industry learned a simple lesson. The middleman is the risk. Hold that thought. It's the exact problem the internet computer set out to solve a completely different way. So here's the move that makes the internet computer different. Instead of hiring an outside messenger, the contract calls the website itself. On ICP, a smart contract is called a canister, and a canister can make an HTTPS outcall, a direct request out to any normal website or API on the open internet. No oracle in the middle, none. But wait, if every computer calls separately, won't they get different answers and break? Yeah, and the fix is genuinely elegant. Picture a jury of about 13 fact-checkers. Instead of one reporter phoning the source and everyone trusting his word, all 13 call the same source at the same moment and write down what they heard. Then they agree to ignore the irrelevant noise. What time the call connected, which clerk picked up. In ICP, that's a little piece of code the developer writes, called a transform function, that strips out the bits which change call to call, like timestamps. Then they compare answers. And the rule is, the network only accepts it if more than 2/3 wrote down the byte-for-byte identical answer. One node that mishears, or even lies, just gets outvoted and tossed. And once they agree, the network signs that answer with a single network-wide signature, so anyone can verify it's what the whole network agreed on. That's what replaces the oracle. The trust comes from the same consensus that secures the chain itself, not from believing some outside company. And this isn't a whiteboard idea. It's been live on the main network since 2022. So for years now, contracts here have quietly been able to reach out, touch the real internet, and have the whole network vouch for what came back. So what do you actually do with a contract that can call the internet? The cleanest example sits right at the heart of the network, the exchange rate canister. Its whole job is to reach out to around 9 different exchanges and even some central bank rates and serve back a single agreed median price. And notice what that is, a price feed, the classic oracle job, except there's no outside oracle. The chain is being its own oracle, and that's what it uses to price its own compute fuel, the thing they call cycles. And it opens up from there. Because a canister can hit any normal web API, developers use it to pull in real-world events, read other chains, even send notifications straight from a contract. But I promise the honest version, so let's be real. Remember that jury of 13 all calling at once? Great for trust, but it means one request actually hits the website about 13 times. For reading data that's harmless, but if you're sending one payment, you don't want it fired 13 times. So developers use little tricks to make it count once. And here's the most important honesty point. Outcalls guarantee the network faithfully fetched and agreed on what the website said. They don't guarantee the website was telling the truth. Garbage in, agreed upon garbage out. And I want to be fair to oracles, because this isn't a takedown. A good oracle does one genuinely valuable thing a single outcall doesn't. It blends many sources into one clean number, exactly what you want for high-stakes money. So for a huge range of jobs, calling the internet directly is simpler and carries less trust baggage. For others, a dedicated oracle still earns its keep. It's a powerful new tool, not a replacement for everything. Okay, here's where it gets genuinely exciting, and where the latest news points. Think about what an AI agent needs to be useful. It has to think, to reason, and then act on the real world. Until now, no blockchain offered both natively. But stack what ICP has. A contract can reach the open internet with outcalls, and the network also shipped the LLM Canister, which lets that same contract call an AI model. Today an open one, Llama, in a few lines of code, free for now. So you get a contract that can both reason and reach out. The founder, Dominic, frames the goal as AI agents that are both autonomous and auditable. They act on their own, but every step is on the record. And real ones are already running, with names like Alice and Decide AI. Now let me clear up something a lot of coverage tangles, because getting it right matters. You may have heard that Claude, the model from Anthropic, is part of this world now. Two separate things are true, and they're different. One, the tool that builds apps on ICP, called Caffeine, now uses Anthropic's Claude Code under the hood to write better code. That's shipped and real. Two, a contract directly calling Claude's API live, on-chain. That's possible but still experimental, and the free official version is still just a proposal. So Claude helping build the apps, yes, today. A canister fully calling Claude on-chain. That's the frontier, not the finish line. And the momentum in 2026 has been real. Caffeine's second engine is live, with hundreds of thousands of builders. The Solana integration runs on this exact Outcalls machinery. And just this month, on June 4th in Paris, DFINITY pitched European leaders on the internet computer as a sovereign, tamper-proof cloud. Infrastructure with no single company holding the keys. Same idea we started with. Reach the real world, no middleman. So let's pull it together, because the big picture is easy to miss. We started with a problem. Blockchains are born blind, and the fix was always to rent your eyes from a middleman. ICP's answer is to let the network grow its own eyes, with the whole chain agreeing on what it sees. And the timing matters because of the AI agent wave. If the future is swarms of little autonomous programs doing things for us, the winning platform is the one where an agent can both think and act, without permission and without a middleman to trust. Right now, ICP is one of the very few places where both abilities live natively in the same contract. And here's what I love. You don't have to take my word for it, and it costs nothing to look. So let me leave you with something you can do. Curious? Read DFINITY's own write-up, literally called Beyond Oracles, plus the plain language Outcalls explainer on their Learn site. A non-coder who's always wanted to build something? Get on the waitlist at caffeine.ai and describe an app in plain English. And a developer? This is the fun one. Claim 20 trillion free compute cycles from the official faucet. Clone their sample that makes a basic web call. Wire in that free AI model, and you'll have a contract that thinks and acts in an afternoon. No token purchase, no Oracle subscription, no middleman. That's the real takeaway. Not a price, not a prediction, just a capability that quietly showed up, that you can put your hands on today. So to bring it home, The thing to remember is the shift. For years, a blockchain couldn't see the world, so it had to trust a middleman to describe it. The internet computer quietly rewrote that. The contract calls the world itself, and the whole network agrees on what it found before anyone acts on it. That's the superpower. And being honest with you, it's not magic. It has real limits. Oracles still have their place, and a lot of the AI side is still early. But the direction is genuinely exciting, and it's the kind of foundational capability that tends to matter more in a few years than the day it ships. If you want breakdowns that respect your intelligence and keep it real, you're in the right place. So if you got value from this, do me a favor, hit subscribe, drop a comment with what you want explained next, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious.